Hello and welcome to a very short Spark AR tutorial video. In this video we'll be looking at how we can create something similar to the effect you can see on screen, where we have used the default face mesh. We have created a wireframe model from it, and we have created this sort of neon glow effect within our scene. So first thing I did is I just downloaded Blender onto my machine, and I opened up the default face asset, and you can get this by going within Spark, going to help, download face assets, downloading that package. Within that folder there is this model here, which is the Facemesh average mask model, which is the OBJ file. So once I've imported this into Blender, I go over here to my modifiers, which is indicated by this little sort of spanner icon here. Go to add modifier, wireframe, and I'm just going to reduce its thickness until I get something like this. All I did then was I hit apply, and I started to remove parts I didn't want. So I went into edit mode and I used the lasso selection, and I just selected all the parts I didn't want, hit X to delete, and I just started to chip away the parts that aren't required. Now the reason that I've had to do it this way is, if it's just quickly to show you back in the Spark project before we go into actually how this was made, you notice that this mesh here doesn't have the bottom of the mouth part, nor do the eyes have any kind of animation to them, and that's because once we start modifying this default mesh, any rigging that is associated with this model will be broken, essentially. So all I did was I just wanted to make this kind of masquerade style mask. I just took the top part and I just imported that into a new Spark project. So let us start from scratch. So I'm just going to click File New. I'm going to now import that face mesh I've exported. So within Blender, once I finish my model, I went to File, Export, Export as an OBJ, and I just saved this onto my machine. I kept the settings as default because for this purposes I don't need to make any amendments to that. And I just go into Spark, import from computer, find my mesh that I've created, like so, and I just went to add object, add face tracker, and dragged my face mesh mask onto my face tracker object, like so. And as you see, we get this kind of quite cool, nifty kind of mesh mask. And again, like I said, this is a pretty easy thing to do. So once I've done that, you'll notice that we have this default material that's associated within that mesh. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to have this material change color. So I just quickly created an animation sequence. I chose some colors, so we have some colors here. I'm just going to import into my sequence. So these are my frames. And then on this default material that's associated with a mask, I just chose my animation sequence and adjusted my frame rate of my animation sequence so it's less harsh. Now back on my material, I'm going to go on to my emission and just give it a bit of a slight glow. So I'm not going to go full white, I'm just going to go somewhere halfway. And I changed the blend mode to add, and I'm just going to adjust the opacity slightly, like so. The next thing I wanted to do then is I wanted to be able to keep the bottom of the mouth part. So in Photoshop, I opened up the default face mesh trackers PNG image, which is also included in that pack, and using that on a new layer as reference, I just painted in white this sort of area here, and I tried to give a bit of a Gaussian edge blur to the edges here, just so it sort of fades out. And I saved this as a white PNG, and also I'm going to import that into my project. And again, this entire project will be available to download for free from the description down below. So I created this lower mask texture. I then go back to my face tracker, right click, add face mesh. With this face mesh I'm going to create another new material. I'm just going to rename this material to be my face. I'm going to go to my face tracker, select the texture extraction, select that face texture that I've just created that material, and assign my face tracker texture to that, making sure that it's flat. And then under alpha I'm going to turn it on and choose my alpha texture to be my lower mask copy. Now you'll notice straight away we're getting clipping going on, so I'm going to select both my face material and my mask material. And I'm just going to go to advanced render options and turn off depth test and write to depth buffer, so they now ignore the Z depth and don't clip anymore. An extra step I wanted to do is I actually also wanted to have this kind of outer aura or ring around the user. So I just quickly created a new canvas, made sure this canvas was above my face tracker, right clicked on it and just added a rectangle, and I made this rectangle fill my width and height of my scene, like so. I'm then going to go to my camera and use texture extraction and texture segmentation. Select my rectangle again, go to materials, create new material, and I'm just going to rename this to be my something like that outline area, or anything that could be we think would be suitable. I'm going to choose its texture to be our animation sequence, and I'm going to choose its alpha to be our segmentation, like so. And again I'm going to turn off depth test and depth buffer. I'm going to duplicate that rectangle I've just created, and on this duplicate I'm just going to scale it up a little bit. I'm also going to duplicate the material I've just created, so the outline material, and on this duplicate I'm also going to reduce its opacity quite a bit, and I'm just going to make sure that my new rectangle is below the original rectangle, and that this new material is assigned to it. And what you should get is this sort of ghosting kind of effect going on here. And again we could duplicate this as many times as we wanted to create this kind of repeating offset shadow almost. One other thing I did do is I also just generally added one more rectangle. I also made this for my width and height. I just created one more quick material. This material I just kept as just a solid black. And I made sure that this rectangle is at the very bottom, so at the very top of my hierarchical order. And I also, back to my face texture, I also reduced my opacity on that slightly, and I've changed its blend mode to be add. So in the end we created this very quick and simple effect. Another little thing just to tidy up these edges is I'm just going to quickly go back to my mesh mask texture, and under alpha I'm just going to turn it on, and I'm just going to quickly import from my device and the face tracker textures the Facemesh mask. And I'm going to go back to my texture and under the alpha make sure that I've included that Facemesh mask onto it, and this just gives us this nice little gradient outline where it sort of fades into the background a little bit. And again, this is a super simple effect, it's nothing overly amazing here, but we could start to combine this again with other animations and other sequences. If you had other users, we could assign distinct masks to other users. We could also combine this with native UI elements to swap out the mask here with other models. And again, this is just to give some ideas. A full breakdown and full series of Spark AR tutorial videos are available on the Catalyst channel. There is a playlist that you can go through, and this is again, it's just to encourage you to play about with ideas, mix and match, and try and troubleshoot and create something unique. So again, this is a very quick Spark AR tutorial guide. The materials for this will be available down in the description down below, and I will see you again soon. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.